Welcome back to 504 Road Trips. Today we're continuing east on US Highway 98, starting around mile 147 in unincorporated Gulf County, Florida, just past St. Joe Beach as we skirt the edge of the master-planned WindMark Beach community along the shoreline of St. Joseph Bay. WindMark Beach occupies over 2,000 acres between St. Joe Beach and Port St. Joe, with boardwalks, trails, and a village center that fronts several miles of bayfront. But from the driver's seat, US-98 remains a simple two-lane coastal highway with limited direct access into the neighborhood. As we proceed, a green sign marks the unincorporated community of Highland View, a small Gulf County fishing village that sits directly on US 98 between WindMark Beach and Port St. Joe. Highland View is known more for working waterfront than resort development, serving as home base for much of the area's commercial fishing fleet along St. Joseph Bay, even though from the highway you mainly see low-key residential streets and a few marine-related businesses. Ahead, US 98 climbs onto the George G. Tapper Bridge to cross the Gulf County Canal, which also carries the Gulf Intracoastal Waterway between St. Joseph Bay and the Apalachicola River system. This is a modern high-rise concrete bridge roughly 2,600 feet long with one travel lane in each direction, standard shoulders, and a relatively gentle vertical profile that peaks around 75 feet above the water to clear commercial and pleasure boat traffic in the canal below. As we descend the east side of the bridge, we enter the city limits of Port St. Joe, a small Gulf Coast city of around 3,350 to 3,400 residents as of the 2020 census and early 2020's estimates. Port St. Joe serves as the county seat of Gulf County and has long been a regional center for paper, shipping, and now tourism, with a compact downtown along Reed Avenue, a marina and waterfront park facing St. Joseph Bay, and access south toward Cape San Blas in St. Joseph Peninsula State Park. Before long, US 98 reaches the southern terminus of State Road 71 at a signalized intersection where State Road 71 heads north out of Port St. Joe toward Weehawken, Blountstown, and ultimately Malone near the Alabama line. SR 71 functions as a major inland corridor from the Gulf Coast into the Florida Panhandle interior, connecting Port St. Joe with US and state routes that lead toward I-10 and points farther north, while US 98 continues to hug the shoreline as the main east-west coastal route. Farther along, US 98 breaks away from the immediate coastline on a more direct inland alignment toward the east, and a roadside sign here points to State Road 30A following a side road that stays closer to St. Joseph Bay. Historically, this coastal routing, now largely signed and maintained as County Road 30A in Gulf County, carried US 98 and State Road 30 south of Port St. Joe along the bayfront and then east toward Indian Lagoon and St. Vincent Sound before the current straighter US 98 corridor was completed in the late 1950s. That history explains the somewhat confusing mix of SR 30A and CR 30A signage you may see at opposite ends of the route, reflecting its evolution from a signed state secondary highway and former US 98 alignment in today's county-maintained scenic coastal loop. This is where this segment ends, around mile 157.5, as we leave Port St. Joe and re-enter unincorporated territory along Florida's Forgotten Coast. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment below, share and follow us on social media, and join us for our next 504 road trip.